What is up, my Shadowverse soldiers, and welcome back to another Shadowverse Evolved video. So today, after a week of a market watch, we are finally getting back into another market watch video to see what the prices are looking like on this lovely Wednesday. Alright, so a little bit of review from the last time we did our market watch. Kuon was sitting at a very high price. I think he was $40 if I remember correctly. Curse Crafter was very expensive, sitting at $10 a piece, and a whole bunch of rune things were just very expensive in accordance to everything else just being around $3, $4, $5, $10. You know, not the super legendary cards or any of the good ones in, you know, the average decks. But now everything's getting a little settled, and I wanted to look at the prices for this week. So let's go ahead and start this lovely Wednesday off by checking out our first and premier card. Alright, so we have Kuon. Looking at Kuon again, he's sitting at $23 with the market price still being at around $30, $27.33. The most recent sale being $24, and then the listed median being $25. So this is a very popular deck. Everybody is really hopping onto this. Runecraft wasn't really too looked at before. It just was doing a lot of cope and whatnot. But Kuon is really showing his face and, you know, sticking around by being the $25 card and the premier legendary for this set. Now, if you were to ask me of the opinion of what I think of Kuon, I would definitely say it for another day, or whenever I do my tier list video. You guys can definitely get my input on all these decks. But looking at the rest of the prices, he looks like he's just going for an average of $24, $25. That's what it looks like he's going to be selling for. So that's how much Kuon costs. So if you want to go ahead and get ready for this deck, I think once Grand Showdown happens, I think this deck will be a lot more expensive because there'll be more Kuons running around. Or even when it gets top 8 or top 4 or something like that, this deck will definitely skyrocket in price. But we can't save all the glory for Kuon because we do have our fairy spam deck, and Amataz has definitely been jumping around in prices. So Amataz is going for around $7. That's not bad, with the market price at being $8, with the listed median at being $9. So on contrary to believe, I did not think that this fairy deck would be as popular as it was, because every other set or every set it just got like one card or maybe two cards, and it just felt like copium. Like you really could not get everything together. But Amataz really just made this deck a whole lot better by buffing all those cards in your EX area, Blessed Fairy Dancer, and you can give those tokens Storm. But looking at the other prices, so it looks like he's going to be going for at least $6, $7, $8, or $9, which is not too bad. Taking the fact that I saw this card at like $15, I'm glad it dropped down. There was like an opportunity where it was $5. Yeah, this card is definitely like jumping up and down. And with Grand Showdown being right around the corner, if anyone performs with this deck, it'll definitely go up. So I would say go ahead and pick up this card now. That is my recommendation. So I'm summoning all my dragon players to the room. Dragon players, where are you at? Because finally White Frost Dragonood is at a reasonable price right now. The one thing that I always say is Dragon always had the turn 1, you know, figure out what I'm going to play. Now we have a turn 1 play. If your opponent has a card that you really don't want to deal with that's already engaged, you can choose it to just, you know, be stuck in the engaged position and just not be able to attack you. And then if you have that overflow effect, you're able to get that White Frost Whisper. So it seems like this card has averaged around $8. I'm glad it's finally dropped in price because it was sitting at like $12 at a point in time, which is pretty lame. But now that it's averaged out to $8, let's look at some other prices. So it looks like $8, $9, maybe. Oh, okay, just the average of $8 and $9 is what White Frost is going to be. So if you're a dragon player and you really want to stun somebody's turn, I'd say pick up this card now while it's $8. So it truly surprises me that I haven't heard anything crazy happening with Swordcraft. I mean, Courtly Dance is definitely a good card to being able to, you know, do your Ralmia and being able to potentially evolve her for free if you can do the chain ability if you need to. But I haven't really heard anything crazy happening for Swordcraft. Like, it's not crazy like when Leonidas came out, and I know Leonidas was just a set 2 card that was very strong. But Courtly Dance is a strong card, but they play all those followers, and unless you hit a Storm follower, you're not really doing that much that turn. But getting into the Ralmia, she is going for around $6. The market price is $8.36 with the listed median of $9 looking at the rest of the other prices. So it looks like, you know, $7, $8 is what you're probably going to be paying for her, maybe even $9 if you don't have the set. So if you want to play Swordcraft and you want to look into Ralmia stuff, you know, Ralmia games, she's an officer. So if you're trying to make the officer deck, I would start looking towards that because I think officers are pretty strong in this set. Alrighty, and then we have Gensetsu Great Fox. So this is a really good card if you want to be rocking any version of Abyss Control. Just if you're able to play those one-tailed foxes that are able to swing for more damage. And then if you're able to remove things off of the field, you still have those foxes being wards at the end of turn. But looking at the price, it looks like she's going for an average of $4 with the market price having her at $6.29 with the listed median of $7. And then looking at the other prices here, it looks like you're going to be paying $3, $4, $5. Well, again, this is a huge price jump. So you have the $4 and then you have the $6 price jump. So that's a little bit of an average for her. But if you want to get her for around $4, I'd say pick her up because she's a very good legendary for Abysscraft. Alright, next up we have Cursecrafter Evolve. So this card was a little expensive last time we looked at it. I'm pretty sure it was like $10. Let me see what the peak was. I think the peak was like $10. Okay, $8. Well, still, this card was very expensive when we first looked at it. Just very expensive for playing Kuon. If you didn't get your rune split, then you're paying like a good amount of money just trying to get everything to play Kuon. But looking at the price here, so he has decreased. It is $5.39 with a market price of $8.05 and then the listed median being around $6.99, so $7. Looking at the other listings here, so we have $5.39, $5.40, so it looks like you're gonna be paying $5 each for at least one Cursecrafter Evolved, and that is only the Evolved version. I don't think the Unevolved version is very expensive, but we will look at it after this. Alright, so if any of you were stressed about Cursecrafter, the regular gold version being expensive, it is less than $1, so don't worry about it. So looking at another Abyss aggro staple, it seems, so if you're running low on hand size or your opponent has built up a board and you're on 8 play points, I think this is a very good card. And also it's a very good card on the 3 cost stats with being a 4/3. Alright, so looking at Aragavi's price, it looks like he's going for $4.10, like a little bit of $5 with shipping, but market price has him at $6.30 with the listed median being $6.44. So it looks like you're going to be paying at least a good amount of $5 for each copy of it, that including shipping, unless you buy more from that certain shop and get that free shipping for anything that you need. So if you're looking to play this, you probably only need maybe 1 or 2, maybe sometimes even 3 copies. Probably a full playset if you need it, but I think 1 or 2 is just very good if you're going to be rocking the Abyss aggro version of him. Alright, so goodness gracious, that's what I really have to say right now. Goodness gracious, because Spinaria is like $17, $18 right now. It seems to be a massive buyout on the Spinaria just because it's a very good ability to search for those spell cards for the fairy tokens that are able to spawn them and give them +1/+1, but seeing her at $7 is absolutely ludicrous. But looking at our prices, so this one's going for $7.82 with the market price being at $9.44, but the listed median being at $17. And looking at that, she is just being sold for $17, guys. So if you don't already have your Spinarias, I'm glad I picked mine up when I did. But this card is very expensive, so if you want to go ahead and hold out and wait, because this card was definitely like, pushing like $1, $2, maybe even $3, and wait for this price drop, I would go ahead and say that too. Alright, and then lastly, we're going to be looking at Bad Bee Katha. So this is a card that's being played in aggro. It's very strong because you're able to deal 2 damage to your opponent with the Evolve. And then on the just regular fanfare ability, you're able to give a follower on your field +1/+1. So if you're playing an aggro deck, this is a very good card to look at. So she's going for $4.69. That's not that bad with a market price of $5.46 and the listed median of around $6. Looking at a bit of these other prices, they're going for a little bit less than $5 unless you get the same thing from the same shop and get that free shipping. So she's a little under $5, which is not that bad in case you're going to be playing aggro, which aggro is pretty affordable if you want to go ahead and pick that up. But in a total, I think this is a very good card to pick up maybe 1 or 2 of it for your aggro deck. But looking at that Bad Bee before we close things out, this Evolved version, which you're able to deal 2 damage or put the top card of your deck into your EX area, or you engage each enemy follower on the field. Alright, so this card is pretty expensive, and I'm using expensive in massive air quotes because most Evolved cards you're literally less than $1, $3 if even, so this is a little expensive for an Evolved cards. Yet again, I'm still putting it in massive air quotes. So it's $250, not that bad. With the market price of being $406 and then listed median $425, I know there have definitely been other Evolved cards that have been more expensive, but just for something that, does have a multiple choice of abilities like Olivia, because Olivia was a 5 cost 5/5, but you're able to choose multiple abilities and she was very expensive, while on the other hand, Bad Bee is not too expensive, but for an Evolved card, it's pretty expensive. But looking at the other prices here, it looks like you're going to be paying less than $3 unless you get that shipping from each seller, so $250 is not that bad. So if you want to go ahead and pick up your Bad Bees for your aggro decks, I said, yeah, two for the neutral followers and maybe 2 in the Evolved deck, or maybe 1, however you want to space the numbers. But alrighty guys, that is the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you guys have any recommendations on what cards we should do on not next week, but the week after for set 6, I think Grand Showdown will already have happened by then and we'll see some new prices. Very excited to look at that. But make sure you guys are safe in whatever you do tonight and safe whatever you do for the rest of the year. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Yeah. TRINN. Just to get you away. What I got to do. What I got to do. Just to get you away. What I got to do.